In this video, we'll be showing you how every country is hiding the real law, the supreme law that was signed by our foremothers and forefathers, also called common law or law of the land. You will learn that about the corruption, de facto laws, de facto governments, and that this is crimes against humanity. First, a basic outline with some important dates and how the shell game begins. Detailed facts from real documents, then examples from different lands, including how they even keep the real laws from natives on every land. You'll come to learn important phrases like operation of law and de facto laws under de facto government. Here is Black's Law definition of de facto. I'll read a couple sentences. This phrase is used to characterize an officer, a government, a past action, or a state of affairs, which must be accepted for all practical purposes, but it is illegal. You will soon learn that an officer, king, or government de facto is one who is in actual possession of the office or supreme power by usurpation or without lawful title. You will know that the state party, aka country, is in breach of contract with international laws, making them de facto just with the education article alone. What do you think of when you hear the word or see the word person? What if we told you that it means a corporation, an entity? What if we told you that you have the right to be a person before the law? Everyone means humans. Did you know that? A right means a choice. Why would they give you humans a choice to be a person or corporation before the law? You will soon learn that if you take this class of person, you will get limited or only certain rights. Do you know how many different uses of the word person is in enactment, statute, codes, and regulation? A person can mean a corporation, an artificial person, a juridical person, a citizen, an Indian, a legal person, body corporate, servant, subject, fictitious person, moral person. If it means corporation, why would they not have two categories, a human and a corporation? Because you can't force illegal de facto laws against humans. Where are our rights, our full legal capacity? Our full legal capacity is in these signed documents that they don't want you to see. Don't take the words human rights lightly. These are human rights laws. More on that later. Let me introduce you to one of the covenants outlining the rule of law or supreme law. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. These documents were ratified by every country, 173 to be exact. This is the supreme law over any government, aka corporation. But what about the one king and his Magna Carta? Old news, you won't win in court with that one. Know that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was written as a Magna Carta for all humanity. The Supreme Courts don't recognize, the Supreme Courts recognize UDHR as supreme law. Next is an important timeline on how all this went down. Remember these dates as you will see the stall tactics to set up the deception. As part of the International Bill of Human Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was proclaimed in 1948. Then the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights were signed in 1966. This makes up the supreme law. These covenants freed the people from tyranny. I'm going to say that again. This makes up the supreme law. These covenants freed the people from tyranny. Why such a large gap between 1948 and 1966? Enter now the deception of the European Convention on Human Rights. In 1950, the deceiving ECHR was, quote, based on the UDHR and came out before the ICCPR and ICSCR in 1966. So why make another bill called the European Convention on Human Rights that must consider the UDHR? We already have our rights and our foremothers and forefathers created it. We will show you proof that the EHR was created to limit your rights as a person/corporation and hide the human rights. You don't need the ECHR. It limits you, places you into servitude, bondage, slavery. Countries and corporations bound to the ICCPR. From ICCPR Article 2.2, were not already provided for by existing legislative or other measures, each state party to the present covenant undertakes to take the necessary steps in accordance with its constitutional processes and with the provisions of the present covenant to adopt such legislation or other measures that may be necessary to give the effective rights recognized in the present covenant. So you can see the corporation is a state party. Here is a Supreme Court judgment that confirms countries are corporations. Further, although Section 9(1.1) gave the Queen the power and advised the Senate, the House of Commons, to alter the Constitution of Canada, excepting certain designated areas, it does not confer power to manipulate. The word Canada in Section 91 does not refer to Canada as a geographical unit, but refers to the juristic federal unit. You remember that juristic means corporation, right? Here's Black's Law Dictionary. Let's dig a bit more. Example, the Constitution of Canada. Chief Executive Officer is the Queen, and the Corporation of Canada is listed on the Securities Exchange Commission with a business address in Washington, D.C. and a mailing address in Ottawa, filing 18 Ks. How do you think they're getting money out of the countries? Setting the stage. This is when every country became signatory to the supreme law, sorted by date. Keeping these dates in mind. They were testing the waters with these countries. We've been tracking the mass media, distractions, fake news. There is so much more that lines up. For example, Martin Luther King, JFK, Robert Kennedy, invasions. They were invading, all right. Moving on. So now they test the water with Canada, the land of the free. Know that the Canadian Humphrey, a quote jurist unquote, was instrumental in creating the draft UDHR, protecting corporations' rights. Must be safe now for the UK, the stalling force, to sign. One day later than Canada. Here are more countries. Let's look at the powerhouse US, which signed in 1977 and ratified in 1992. It takes a bit longer for a country who has guns. What was happening in the US at that time? In the early 1990s, the US was in a recession, and there was a peak global unemployment in June 1992. Wow, what a coincidence. Here are the remainder of the countries, aka corporations, that are signatory for your review. So why did so many corporations, aka countries, attack Maldives' only reservation? From the ICCPR reservation section, the application of the principles set out in Article 18 of the Covenant shall be without prejudice to the Constitution of the Republic of Maldives. Here is how many times Maldives was mentioned in all countries' reservations, 113. What's in Article 18 of the ICCPR that they're worried about? This is key. Everyone shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right shall include freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief as a choice, and freedom, either individually or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in worship, observing, practice, and teaching. Look for the ors and the ands. Very important. Reading from the green text. Everyone's right shall include freedom either individually or in community with others. I will say it again. Everyone's right shall include freedom either individually or in community with others. Let's look specifically at the UK. Using Wikipedia for a key to the truth, look how many documents they use to strip your rights in the Constitution. You got common law, you got the Human Rights Act, you got international law, Today, the main source of jurisprudence is the Human Rights Act 1998, which incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into domestic litigation. You only use these to show the breach in these supreme laws. Here is the proof that the UK signed up to the ICPPR, aka Supreme Law, in 1968. From Wikipedia, you can see that they incorporated, not mirrored, into national law in 1968. Upon ratification, the UK is telling you the process of acquisition and possession of citizenship. This is a common theme in all corporations, aka countries. Recapping. The Human Rights Shell Game in the UK. In 1948, the International Bill on Human Rights. 1948, UDHR. 1966, the ICCPR and ICSCR. 1950, European Council on Human Rights. 1998, Human Rights Act. And of course then, a whole bunch of domestic litigation. The UK has no constitution, but who cares? It's just a state party document, right? Not. You can see from the UK website that the government has proposed setting up a constitution. Stop right there. Proposed? Well, they're in breach of the International Bill of Rights, aka the Supreme Law. You must use this in all your claims. Whereas I understand and claim that the state parties must take steps to give effects to all rights in the International Covenant through the constitutional process. What the heck? It's 2020. They signed in 1968. What are they scared of? Were not already provided by existing legislation or other measures, each state party to the present covenant must undertake steps in accordance with its constitutional process to give rights recognized in the present covenant. Moving on, we know that they're playing a shell game. We know they've set up limits. We know that they have something to lose. So they created a monstrous system of statutes, codes, and regulations when all you need is the ICCPR, the UDHR, and the ICSCR totaling 41 pages. A large percentage is redundant and for corporations only. If you want to be free, you need to invest some time. Looking into the UK gets easy once you know the game. From the UK Interpretation Act 1978. Notice the dates between ratification and the Interpretation Act. They were forced to retain your rights and freedoms. Now from the UK Interpretation Act, person includes a body of persons, corporate or unincorporate. You are an employee or subsidiary corporation of the UK state party. The definition includes is important. Having the S implies nothing can be added or changed. A brief cap. This is the recap. This is the act you will use as part of your claims, the Human Rights Act 1998. Here's a caption showing what the government fears. This knowledge getting to police men and women, their understanding of the supreme law and their duty to uphold over any government agency, hence the smear campaign against police. Let's dig a bit deeper to show you the proof about the class of person. As you can see here in the UDHI and ICCPR, this is where our choice is to be labeled as a person. From Black's Law 7th edition, the use of person, I won't get into these. Just know the game. You don't want to be a person, ever. You want to be a human being. Let's talk life, liberty, and security of the person versus human. Well, under life, a legal person is an artificial entity or corporation. When you're a human, you're alive. Under liberty, a legal person is controlled, statutes and regulations, jail, or a human is common law, do unto others, which could include jail time. And security of the person, well, that just means money in the bank. Example of switcheroo. In the Interpretation Act in Canada, in every act, person includes corporation. So there you have it. Remember, includes with an S makes it singular. So when you use the word person, it means corporation only. Now going forward, the Immigration Act does not redefine the word person. The Banking Act does, and the Criminal Code of Canada does. So in Interpretations Act, you can see for the bank, a person means a natural person, an entity, or personal representative. So you can see that the bank is a distinction between natural person and entity. Why? Because they need to pay humans that find out that they're in breach of the international covenants. I just showed you the Bank Act. Person has many faces, but for the criminal code, they can't do that. You really only need two, a human and a corporation. So in the Criminal Code of Canada, you see everyone, person, and then they go on with all kinds of corporations. Why they do that? Well, they wouldn't have got away with the lie. They had to do this. Some examples of supreme law, fundamental rights, and human freedoms. ICCP Article 1.2, all peoples may, for their own ends, freely dispose of their natural wealth and resources without prejudice to any obligations or right of international economic cooperation based upon the principle of mutual benefit and international law. In no case may a people be deprived of its own subsistence. That's natural wealth and resources. Article 47. Nothing in the present covenant shall be interpreted as impairing the inherent right of all peoples to enjoy and utilize fully and freely their natural wealth and resources. If you think you are covered by acts like the Indian Act in Canada, for example, think again. Canada has designated you as a person, a corporation, and did not tell you that they were still making illegal laws against you and lies since they don't own any land whatsoever. Remember, I will show you documented facts from Supreme Court rulings that they don't teach you about in school. Indian is a class of person, i.e. corporation, citizen of Canada. Feeble attempt to show you you're given a choice. More to follow from SPLX Pro and iyoutome. Thank you.